Imagine being humiliated in front of a full flight, told your first-class seat was not meant for people like you. Now imagine the shocked faces when they learned the black woman they tried to shove back to economy is actually a high-level, undercover federal auditor with the power to shut everything down. You won't believe how this ends. Don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping real-life twists where justice hits harder than turbulence. The boarding pass battle. The airport was buzzing as usual. A sea of tired travelers dragging wheeled suitcases, clutching passports, and murmuring into phones. Among them stood Vanessa Clark, poised, elegant, and calm, dressed in a sharp navy blazer, slacks, and a silk scarf tied around her neck. Her brown skin glowed under the fluorescent lights, and she clutched her first-class boarding pass with a quiet dignity. At 39, Vanessa had seen the insides of more airports than she could count, but today was different. Today, she wasn't just flying, she was on assignment. What no one around her knew was that she was an undercover federal auditor for the Department of Transportation, flying to Los Angeles to conduct a surprise compliance investigation on customer service practices for federally regulated airlines. Her credentials were sealed in a sleek folder buried inside her tote, but she was traveling incognito, as always. She approached the first-class gate when the trouble began. The gate agent, a young blonde named Ashley, barely glanced up before scanning Vanessa's pass and frowning. "Ma'am, you must be mistaken. First class is for premium ticket holders," she said curtly. Vanessa raised an eyebrow, calm as ever. "I am a premium ticket holder," she said, her voice firm. "Seat 2A. Ashley squinted at the pass. "Hold on." She waved over her supervisor, a man in his 50s with a paunch and a dismissive look named Gregory. He examined the ticket, looked Vanessa up and down, and then said loudly, "You must have been upgraded by mistake. This can't be right." Passengers in the first-class line started turning their heads. One older white woman sneered and muttered, "Probably using someone else's pass." Vanessa could feel the eyes drilling into her, the judgment thick in the air. "Please step aside, ma'am," Gregory barked. "This is holding up boarding." Vanessa didn't flinch. She calmly pulled out her phone and began taking notes. "What are you doing?" Gregory demanded. "I'm documenting this exchange." "For clarity," Vanessa replied coolly. "You might want to make sure your system isn't glitching before you escalate this." But Gregory wasn't listening. 2 security staff had already been radioed. A uniformed man approached and motioned for Vanessa to follow him. "Ma'am, let's go to the side." A mix of disbelief and fury boiled beneath her surface, but Vanessa kept her composure. She was trained for this: observe, record, and only reveal when absolutely necessary. And she wasn't done observing yet. Economy class humiliation. The gate closed, the plane lifted off, and Vanessa, who paid over $2,500 for her first-class ticket, sat crammed into seat 37B beside a crying toddler and a man who didn't understand personal space. Her expensive blazer was wrinkled. Her knee was jammed against the seat in front, but she wasn't fuming, she was calculating. She stared down at the small black leather folder on her lap, untouched. Inside was her Federal ID badge, stamped with the seal of the Department of Transportation's Aviation Oversight Division. For the last 6 years, Vanessa had flown across the country to anonymously audit airlines for discriminatory treatment, service violations, and compliance with the Air Carrier Access Act. But this wasn't just a violation. It was textbook discrimination. From the moment she approached the gate, she had been judged not by her ticket or ID, but by her skin. Her calm demeanor had been seen as arrogance, her confidence as defiance. She'd seen it before, but rarely this blatant. The old woman in seat 1B, who had sneered earlier, had watched the entire scene like it was a reality show. And now she was sipping champagne, while Vanessa sat elbow to elbow with sweaty passengers, ignored by the flight crew. When meal service came, The flight attendant didn't even glance her way until she pressed the button for assistance. When she asked if she could be moved to any open first-class seat after takeoff, the flight attendant simply said, "That area is full," without checking. It wasn't. Vanessa had seen 3 seats empty as she was escorted past them. A young black boy 2 rows up stared at her with wide eyes, clearly confused why someone who looked like his teacher was being treated so unfairly. She gave him a reassuring smile. Not for herself, but to show him something different. Vanessa took out her notepad. Every moment, every line, every time a crew member passed without acknowledgement, every drink refill skipped, every cold look. She didn't just write it down, she timestamped it, coded it, and categorized it. What they didn't know was that she wasn't just a passenger. She was the woman who could pull their federal funding, revoke their certifications, and initiate massive investigations. But she wasn't going to shout that. Not yet. Not until they showed who they truly were. The truth turbulence. When the flight landed in Los Angeles, passengers stood to stretch and scramble for overhead bins. Vanessa remained seated, calm, focused. She waited until nearly everyone had deboarded. Then she stood, pulled out her badge and folder, and walked up to the lead flight attendant and said, "I need to speak to your station manager and head of operations, immediately." The woman blinked, clearly confused. "And who are you?" Vanessa opened the folder, revealing the seal, her credentials, and a compliance order. "I'm Vanessa Clark, Senior Federal Aviation Auditor. Your airline is now under immediate compliance review for racially discriminatory practices and failure to honor a confirmed ticket sale in accordance with DOT guidelines." The color drained from the woman's face. "You're a what?" "An undercover federal auditor. And your crew failed in multiple areas today. I have the entire incident documented, along with timestamps, witness reactions, and lack of follow-through by multiple staff. I'll need to debrief your captain and ground leadership before I file a preliminary action report to Washington." She was escorted to a VIP lounge within 10 minutes, and suddenly the same Gregory from earlier was called in. His smugness was replaced with sweat and panic. I didn't know. Exactly," Vanessa cut in. "You didn't know. That's the problem. You didn't ask. You just assumed. You judged my appearance and ignored the system protocol, which shows a fully paid, verified ticket. You humiliated a federal agent doing her job." Within hours, a legal rep for the airline was called in. Vanessa didn't raise her voice once. She laid out every infraction: crew mistreatment, gate discrimination, bypassing federal disability, and service regulations, ignoring seat confirmation. They tried to apologize. They offered to refund her flight, even offered compensation. But Vanessa didn't take it. "This isn't about money. It's about change," she said. "Your airline will now be subject to a full review of your passenger treatment policies, diversity training standards, and employee behavior protocols." It hit them like a tidal wave. This wasn't a PR nightmare. It was a regulatory storm. And Vanessa was the thunder. News spread fast. Within a week, a whistleblower leaked the incident to a blog that covered racial bias in travel. From there, it exploded. "Black woman denied first-class seat. Turns out she's a federal auditor," the headlines blared. Social media went wild. Vanessa's calm yet powerful stance inspired thousands. Videos popped up of other people of color sharing similar stories. Protesters flooded the airline's social channels. A trending hashtag "Seat Her Right" caught fire. But it didn't stop there. Congress members weighed in. Transportation Secretary issued a statement about systemic bias in the airline industry. And Vanessa, who had worked quietly for years, was now at the center of a movement she didn't even intend to lead. The airline's CEO called her personally. Apologies weren't enough. Vanessa was invited to speak to their board, and eventually helped rewrite their entire customer service policy, mandating anti-bias training, revalidation of gate protocols, and introducing a new third-party audit process. She didn't want fame, she wanted justice, and she got it. Months later, she received a letter from that same young boy she saw on the plane. His mother helped him write it. "Thank you," it said, "for showing me that people like us can stand up and change things." Vanessa folded the letter and placed it next to her badge. In a world where respect is often denied based on how you look, she proved that quiet strength and truth still held power. Because sometimes the most powerful seat on the plane isn't in first class, it's the one that stands for something.